just you get to choose. Right? Like here's the scenario. The environment gives us something which can be perceived as negative, can be perceived as not working, can be perceived as problematic. The world's ending. But we get to choose to see it like that, or we get to choose to see it as an opportunity.
So clearly that it's my responsibility now to do that for other people. If I have information and, other people's success is my success and vice versa.
Because you know what? Like, the challenges or the roadblocks are the journey themselves.
There's no big things. It's all little things compounding on top of each other.
Right, here we are, 100th episode. Coach Nick Davies, Coach Josh Greco. A bit of a celebratory episode. Coach, where are we right now?
We are in a super cool place doing our leadership coach retreat here in sunny North Carolina, Lake Norman. And I'm just trying to get all the ants off me. Ants fall off me.
Yeah, we're outside. We have a beautiful setting in the background. Lake Norman is in the background. And we're sitting out at the pool here. So is this the life of a coach? Coach, is this what we do every day?
Perhaps not every day, but this is definitely something that we should be aspirational towards, meaning like choosing what we want to do. And I think that's what we coach to all the time, right? Living a life of more time, money, and fun, doing the people you want to do it with. And like, this is a big part of what we do for sure. Creating the space to be able to do that and giving back as much as we possibly can.
That's maybe where we should dive a little bit deeper. Yeah, because we're talking about purpose stuff, and this is maybe the most meaningful way that we can spend our time. We set the course during these connections, and then we go out and execute. Right? Maybe talk to the importance of what we're doing here over these couple of days, and why is it important to us as an organization?
So often we work with people or collaborate people or spend time with people that we don't really actually connect. And a big part of what we do at this retreat is bring everyone together and be immersive. It doesn't take long. It's just a couple of days, but if you're immersive over that amount of time, you can get a huge lift. It's a big thing that we work with clients on, but having that level of connection to be real, to essentially be around someone all the time for those couple of days, you get to see a lot more about what people are about, and it creates connections which last the year or last a certain period of time, which you can do a lot virtually, but without having that, it's like maybe it even goes beyond virtually, right? If you go meet someone for coffee, that's real. But it's just meeting from coffee in a day. It's one part of your day. You can be in a certain place for that hour or 2 hours, but you spend 48 hours with someone or a group of people. That's an experience. It's a different thing.
Yeah. So I think of minds again, relator, doer, thinker, right? And the highest potential is that relator, the connectivity to the people. Think about what we've been doing over these last couple of days. A lot of it is around our why and why we're here and why it's meaningful to us what we do, and it juices me up. Like I look forward to these because there's some sacrifices to be made. Maybe that's not the right frame there, right? But there's certain things in our daily lives that need to be addressed or rescheduled or accounted for ahead of this. Mm-hmm. But we do that because it's worth it. So maybe dive a little bit deeper into how does this propel you forward? How does this catapult you through to the rest of the year, right? We're about halfway through. Q3 is just about to start. It's probably started by the time this episode comes out, right? So how does that catapult you forward?
I think it's infinitely important to check in. But you're right. Maybe trade-offs rather than sacrifices. But it's an easy thing to not consider. Coming and having an immersive experience to reset on where you are. Most people set plans at the beginning of the year, like we talk about often, but they don't check in until the end of the year or beginning of next year. So you've got one chance to get it right. Obviously, you can move things around and through the year, but if you're not intentional with really getting the space, creating the space, that's the trade-off, right? Because on the face of it, it's like, oh, you're just going to go and spend a bunch of time. Well, yes, but it's the context of that time which is impactful, right? It's like time. Follow me. Time is not all time is equal. you've got to be very intentional with the amount of time. You could spend a week with someone but not connect. You could spend 3 hours with someone and have a connection that lasts a lifetime. It's really important to say, okay, well, what happened this first part of the year? What did we set out that we said that would happen for this year? And now, knowing what we do and what's transpired externally, what we've done internally, what we've created, are we still on the right path? Do we want to change the path? Do we want to change the destination? If something significant happens that's changed where we're going, do we want to make tweaks to it? That's the most important thing.
How much of this correlates with what we do for our clients?
Yes, everything. Like, this is us walking the talk.
We're on the other side of it.
Right, we're on
It's
the
same
other
thing.
side of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Being uncomfortable, asking those questions, right? It's the things that we do every day as coaches. And a lot of the things we'll do today will be modeling what we would do with clients anyway, with a two-hat approach, right? This is how we do it with clients anyway. This is how I do it today, like coach to coach. And this is how we might look at it as well. And so as we're having some newer coaches come in, it's also showing that how they can use it practically with clients and also using it directly with us.
Yeah, that resonates with me. I want to share a personal perspective here. We'll just, I sat down. We had the itinerary, right? We generally knew what we were going to get into. I had this moment yesterday, which is the first day of our experience here, where I'm flipping through our guidebook, our study book, our standard of excellence book. And I'm like, yeah, I've seen all this before. It's the same stuff. And I caught myself. Yes, that's the importance of, that's why we do what we do. Fully immerse and go back to what is working, because it's such a awakening for me, right? Because we coach people to do that. We get back to the simple things, the things that we know work. And even as coaches, we can take it for granted or run through the motions of some of those things. So when I caught myself, yes, like I signed up to be playful out here, and this is what it is. And I ended up taking copious amounts of notes that I probably haven't at previous on-site engagements or retreats. And so for me, it's getting back to those simple things. And when I think I know it, diving in deeper, because that's when I can get caught, right?
Yeah, as soon as you start to think you know it, that's like, it's like the comfort zone, right? I got it. It's all right. I'm all right. Because then as soon as you think you know it, then you move into the comfort zone, and then it's comfortable for a while, and then you then devolve to the pain again. So yeah, that's a great warning sign to go, oh, if you see yourself going, oh, I've done this before, or I know that, I've seen it before. Like yeah, absolutely. That's a good forewarning sign that you're playing a game where you're not thinking, how do I contribute? How can I get a bit deeper here? What's the next layer I'm looking for? Yeah, oh, I'm above it. Essentially, is what you're saying. Right?
Yeah, that's what I caught myself.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, oh, I've seen this before. Oh, great. So I can now actually play deeper on this. Like playing a game. Like the first time you play a game, you've got to learn the rules as you're playing it. It's like you might get a cursory explanation of what the rules are before you start, but it's only until you start. Someone says, "Oh, here, play this game. You do this, you play that, and do that, and you win." And you're okay, got it. Let's go. But it's only when you got it, and you go, "Actually, how do I do that?" But you have to play to start to know what the rules are. You can say, "I've played before," but all right, well, now you actually playing. And if you were doing reps in that game, like they're playing cornhole down there, right? So you never played cornhole before. It's like, well, throw that over there. Yeah, essentially that's it. But then you've got some nuances and little things along the way to figure out where to stand and what the scoring is like. So the first game is going to be just figuring it out, and then if you play another game immediately, you're going to get a rep on top of the rep. And if you went and played 3 hours of cornhole, you're going to every single time you're going to get that continuous improvement, and it's all going to stack. And you're going to be a lot better than if you just went and played one game of cornhole every week for the next 3 months.
Yeah,
you still get better, but you wouldn't get anywhere near as good and cost way more time.
Yeah, and you mentioning immersive experience with the relator, it's also part of the that's the immersive experience with the doer mentality, like the middle part of the mind scan. Getting the reps you mentioned is such a favorite term of mine. I like any skill set we have could be, Malcolm Gladwell shout out, like number of hours that you put in, right? So what you're just describing with cornhole, you're putting in cornhole hours. That's how I would describe that. use the same thing for hockey or coaching, whatever it is, right? So the more that you put in, this is an opportunity for us to practice what we preach, get the reps. I think of a frame of like past, present, future, right? So you said the first thing you said was like review the course that we said. How are we doing? Is that still important to us? Well, it turns out, there's some level setting with the rest of the year. Some stuff has changed. Some stuff we've doubled down with.
Yeah.
So all that is more important. That's kind of what I'm getting at, or what I was getting at with the catapult question. Either way, whatever we decide, we're getting more clarity and more commitment, no matter what it is, to the rest of our year.
Yeah.
So, which is huge.
Well, yeah, because the resistance could be that I don't need to. Everything's okay.
Yes.
Again, then we're back to the same thing of I don't need to see it. I know what I've done it before. So
it's dangerous.
It is very dangerous. So that if I'm doing,
don't try this at home,
kids. So I would do right now with a lot of clients. I'm doing my latest book recommendation I sent out to my most important clients. Part of that was, hey, let's do review of your accomplishments in the first half of this year. And it's something I often do, and for the half year, I think it's the most important time to do it. So I'll be doing that over the next few weeks as well. Just literally in a coaching call, just going through, opening up the document, like, hey, what's been great this year? What have we accomplished? And really just digging all through that stuff. And as you do that, it just creates more and more awareness of the things you've done, the results you've got. And it always is, there's always more than you expect. Always. And then it gives you clarity as to, okay, well, that's awesome. Then, okay, well, now what do I want to do with that? And then from that place, even if you come out of that going, what I knew going in is is definitely the same as what I coming out. It just gives you like 3 more layers of certainty, even if it's exactly the same outcome.
Yeah.
Because then you just go in, you just attack that. Even if the actions don't change, just attack the actions with more determination, and then therefore the results you're going to get are that much more.
I'd like to go deeper with that, the progress that we make, right? Because part of all this is the more progress we make, right, the more that becomes possible. So we stand on a new, precipice of like what we can see, and it's so easy to see even more opportunity out there and forget what we've accomplished already. But what we can see is based on what we've accomplished. So is that how you see that? And that's why it's so important to like hit that hard, right? Like what have we accomplished already? What are we standing on here?
Yeah, well, it's like the mountaintop, right? Like here's the mountaintop, and I can see what's immediately there because it's literally in my face. And then maybe I'm looking at the next mountaintop because that's where I'm going. And maybe it's a bit hazy, so I'm more concentrating about where I am and looking at like maybe the little nuances of stuff that's around me that doesn't feel quite so good. Oh, the snow on this mountain is not quite as fluffy as I'd like it to be, or the tent is a little bit on like a rough side. And if you're looking at and you're complaining or observing those little things around you, for me that's always a symptom. We were just talking about this downstairs actually, about something else. For me that's a symptom of not being focused on where you're going, and not knowing where you've come from to realise, be grateful for where you are.
Yeah.
So having that contrast, context, scale. Okay, where did I come from? Well, that journey actually, wow. Like I remember the last few steps, but man, that was tough down there. I didn't think I'd get through that like for a while. And then you stack that with the next part. Well, that was we had a lot of fun there, but man, I fell over there. And then that part, and then that brings us up to here the last week, and that was crazy already. Wow, it's crazy where we are now. Look what we've accomplished. Where do we go now?
Yeah. That's another personal perspective I can share. I feel like I'm just coming out of this stretch period myself.
Yeah.
Where maybe for my normal cadence, I was overscheduled. I was stretched a little bit thin. I was in that uncomfortable place, right? Which is so great, and that's where I'm thankful and express gratitude that I'm a coach, because even when I'm in it, it still feels difficult. Yeah. I coach people to it. I know it's coming for myself. And when I'm there, it still is a challenge, but it resonates with me to level set into when you're coming out of that. Like I was focused on the stretch part of it, how uncomfortable it felt to me, And I feel like I'm out of it now, or I'm coming out of it, because what I've done is, okay, I celebrate all that I just accomplished during that time period, but what I've done is get even more hyper focused on what that has given me the opportunity to do here.
Right.
So whereas my last response to you was how important is it to hit the success, this is now like it was important for me to redefine or to double down on or to get even clearer on where I'm going because of the stage that I've just gotten out of or graduated from.
Yeah. And you know what just dawned on me as well is that you have to also reconcile the new you. Because by definition, almost the stretch is creating a different version of you. So now you're out the stretch, so you're not focused on the stretch. So now you're going, oh, I don't even recognize where I am because I'm a different person.
I shared this with somebody the other day. I think coming out of the stretch, like when I say that, I've returned to my previous schedule and it feels so easy to me.
Right.
That's what the
Is this it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And so it's given me, it feels like I have space to be creative and to find that future again. I didn't have that 6 weeks ago before I experienced that stretch. So that's a wild thing to think about.
Wild. Yeah. And that can also prevent us from doing things because you look at the way you want to go and go, like, wow, if I have that, then I've got to be that. I've got to deliver to that every day. Like if I have that much revenue in my business, then that means I have that many clients. That means I have this amount of work hours to complete for me and my team, let's say. How am I about to do that? But, so that might prevent you from going there going, that be too much, you might be overwhelmed. But the only way you'll get to that place is having the right amount of people and the outlook to accomplish those things anyway. Right? So in order to get to, let's say you've got one client, 10 clients, let's say you're like a service business and producing a product, you have to have a team around you to deliver on that. When you've got 10, you might need 5 people to deliver on that. And you can't see it when you've only got one because you haven't gone through that process. You haven't got to that place. So you are not that person.
By nature, does it have to be uncomfortable? And not have to be, but is it by its very nature, is it always uncomfortable?
Well, what's comfort? Comfort is certainty you know what's going to happen. Security that you know what's going to be there and how it's going to feel. So if you want to change anything, then that has to change.
I have to be okay with entering into the unknown.
Yeah. And that becomes uncomfortable because there's uncertainty.
Yeah.
There's that variety.
Which is another principle. Be okay. Like if you want something more, you can't just snap your fingers. You can have a strategy, but it's never a straight line. Part of that is the faith that the uncomfortability, that place of uncertainty is going to lead to something better.
Yeah. That's why it's never the strategy. It's never about the strategy. It's about will you execute on it? Not can you, but will you? And what prevents is always the limiting beliefs around who you think you are or who you don't think you are, perhaps.
How I identify myself. Am I a person who can do these things, or do I see myself as achieving this end result that seems so big and large? That's the limiting belief, is what you're saying.
Yeah. So what does it start? What's the baseline beliefs you've got? So one of the coaches here yesterday was talking about doing a certain activity. He said that he didn't like doing this activity, and he said, "I'll go so far as to say I can't do that." And for me, that's like
Your flags are up, coach?
my flags went up. That's like a cancer in your belief systems. If you tell yourself in one area I can't do that, then it's much easier to tell yourself another area you can't do something else. It's completely fine to say I don't want to do something. Everyone's got a different journey, but just be really cautious of that, right? Like if that's what I'm not going to do that, or I don't want to do that, it doesn't feel good. Of course I can if I want to. All right, move on to the next thing.
Much different than
I can't.
okay, yeah.
Because then it's like, well, that's okay. Well, what else can I do?
Right.
Sucks.
And also guarantees that you won't do that thing.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you've closed the door rather than just closed it, locked it, thrown away the key, rather than try and say like, well, not for now. And that's okay. Maybe I'll go back there. Maybe I won't.
Right. I just want to take a pause, coach, and enjoy This is a special edition episode. I mentioned at the beginning, of course, this is a special edition, right? If the others are, this is definitely one. Enjoying the space that we're in here. It's great to be out here with you.
It really is.
I've enjoyed this journey. 100 episodes is a pretty special thing.
It is, and yeah, it feels like nothing, and also feels like the beginning.
I want to hear more about that. Just a quick interjection. I feel like, well, I caught myself, 10 minutes ago. Like, is this a special episode? I think it speaks to how we started, like the principles that we know. But this is another normal episode. But that's what also makes it special.
And we also talked yesterday about celebrations and observing celebrations and milestones. Because you could say 100, it's just the next number after 99 and the one before 101. So why is it significant? Well, it's like, well, it's not in anything other than the meaning we're given to it, which is, is true anyway. So just choose where you want to say that it's special. So when we're creating milestones for whatever result we're trying to get to in our business or our lives, we want to do that specifically because no one else is going to come and do that for us. When we're looking at natural milestones, let's say, like it would be a fairly easy thing for people to swallow to say, oh, we're celebrating our 100th episode. Versus if you said to someone, oh, we're celebrating our 116th episode. Like, why?
Yeah.
Well, then why 100?
Right.
Because it's a round number. It's just a logical place to go, oh, that's cool.
Right.
But it's still the same thing. But we don't do that naturally otherwise. Like, we're celebrating a round number in our business revenue or
Our cornhole tournament.
Or a cornhole tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just it's a place to just check in again. Same thing.
Yeah. So maybe we can use this opportunity to begin to wrap with just share a reason that it's special to you, and I'll challenge you. Like, you can't say just because it's 100, but why is it special to you in this moment here where we are today, just happening to be recording our 100th episode? Why is it special to you today?
I mean, it's really significant to look back on and go like, how did it happen to be that we record a 100th episode when we are at our leadership on-site retreat these 2 days, when we do this twice a year?
Just happened to fall
That's
on.
yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then I think about the things we've talked about this podcast in the previous retreats. I just wonder if we fast forward in 5 years' time, what will that look like?
Should we make an agreement to what episode are we going to celebrate next? 116 sounds good.
500 comes to mind.
Does that mean we're not going to celebrate the other ones, or it's not as big of a celebration? 200 is pretty significant.
200 is significant as well.
50.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point to start to think about. Like,
let's frame it, right? What's the next one?
Right. I was thinking about what is it actually going to mean? Like if here's a silly example, right? But market's crazy right now. Like car market's crazy. You could have bought a car a year and a half ago and then probably sell it now for more than you pay for it. So there could be an argument to go, well, why wouldn't you sell your car? You can make 10 grand on the car. It's like, well, yeah, you could, and like, you need to go buy a cheaper car, and maybe then you end up with 10 grand, but you might end up with a worse car. And what's the 10 grand going to do? Is it just going to be 10 grand to go buy a bunch of other stuff you don't need? Is it going to go towards something, or is it just an opportunity rather than a direction? So what does it actually mean to you? Like if you're going, I need 100,000 right now to do this thing because it means that thing because it fits my overall plan, and therefore that 10,000 is what I need to get myself over the edge right now. Or is it just someone trying to put an opportunity in your face, and you're more likely to succumb to that opportunity? Succumb to an opportunity. Isn't that an interesting way to think about it?
Yeah.
Distractions being a big thing, saying no to stuff, then you're going to more likely to succumb to it if you haven't got a direction about where you're going. So for me, like 200 is significant, that's worth celebrating, but 500, if we've got 500 episodes,
that means we're doing this for another 8 years.
That means there's some Right. So I'm more like, well, that's when we get to 500, we're that far in. This is going to be a place where I can't even see right now.
Yeah. Yeah. What kind of technology are we going to have? Is this going to be the main backdrop for every episode by then? You know, we're going to be on the moon. Like, where are we going to be? I might also think about like how can we line up, even if it's an arbitrary number episode, with something special
Mm.
in our life. Maybe the next time we're going to be together, or when we maybe have some milestones set for goals in our business. How can we align a future episode, even if it's a random number, with the end of this year or our next retreat?
Yeah. It'd be great to get some more feedback on this as well, right? Because we could have celebration episodes, right?
Mm,
Special, super special coaches corner celebration episodes.
super special edition. Oh, next level here.
Celebration episodes, but
So I'll share my my celebration today. Not just 100 episodes, but and you kind of touched on this. I thought you were going there actually. Just the journey of this, like to think about. I'm not encouraging anybody to do this, but if you go back and watch our first episode, it is like, oh my god. First of all, what kind of haircut did I have at that point? But just the production quality, the flow of conversation. I mean, I guess we did as best we could. You know, there's still value there, but to do it 100 times over every single week, I think to me what's special is that we've made this consistent and a priority in our weeks
yeah.
for 2 years, 2.5 years straight. And for nothing else, I think that's something to be proud of from a commitment level. And I get so much out of these conversations and I look forward to it because I know I'm going to get something out of it every single time.
Yeah,
So that's special.
Boom.
And maybe as a celebration, I'm gonna turn the camera around. I'm gonna get some teammates involved here. Maybe we get some noise from the people in the pool. What do you think?
Oh yeah, let's try that.
Hey guys, 100 episode of True Seekers. Say something to the camera. A little noise, please. Yeah. Thank you. You've been a great audience. Coach, any final words here?
Oh, couldn't say it better than that, Coach. What a pleasure
Been a
doing
pleasure.
business with you.
And here's to 100 episodes and X number that we have no idea amount for.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Cheers.